Hello, guys. This is FK, and it's been a while we did tech stories. It's been a while we did tech stories. That's why this one we're bringing a very interesting topic. Today we're going to be dabbling into the fintech space, and to do that, I have brought my long-term friend. In fact, I think it's my longest. It's the friend that I know right now that I've known the longest. Like we're talking of 15. No, we started 18 years.
2005.
2005 was 18 years.
That's 18 years.
18 years, 18 years. We've known each other for 18 years now, so almost 2 decades. And, we did the same course and also pivoted into tech the same time. He has been in tech. He has been in tech.
I started earlier, yeah.
So around what year?
I started 2003.
2003.
Yes.
2003. Because then, I knew him as this hardware guy. Like, he was fixing computers. He was doing all this sort of magic with computers. And he was one of the first people that made me interested working with computers in the first place. And that time, software was not mainstream that time.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't really the real deal. As at then, most people were just interested in knowing how to use a computer.
Yeah, true.
So owning one, being able to use it, very important. So a few of us that knew how to fix computers were seen as the lords then. Were the big boys in quote.
Yeah, this people came into school rich. They were already rich before they got admission.
I wasn't as rich as they think. Anyway, yeah.
So while I was busy building web apps for hospitality and all those kind of stuff, he was mainly into fintech, and he's still operating in the fintech industry. This guy has handled some heavy things in banks, for government, and stuff like that. And today we're going to be going into the fintech space. As you can see, the title is "Coding for a Bank." Yeah, coding for a bank, coding money. Yeah, coding money. That's one of the most sensitive types of coding you can do. Money, security, healthcare. Yeah, those are one of the most critical types of programming that you can do that. So today we're going to be talking about coding for a bank with my very good friend Tayo. Tayo is in the building today and is going to be sharing with us a whole lot of interesting things so that you out there, if you want to operate in the fintech space, if you want to do stuff for banks, for the fintech space, for government also deals with a lot of financial processing. If you want to operate in those spaces, those industries as a programmer, make sure that you watch this till the end. We're going to be making this a 2-part series. We're going to be breaking it into 2. So be sure to watch the 2 parts. And let's get started with tech stories on Dev Talk with FK. So can we meet you? I know that I've already said some stuff about him, but I'll allow him to introduce himself. So can we meet you? Or can they meet you? I've met you.
All right. Hi, everyone. Like he rightly introduced, my name is Adetayo James, and I have a surname, Adesiyan, but I don't like it much, so I don't use it often.
Just trimmed a whole some generations, just trim them off like that. Okay.
Not because the name is bad, actually. The name is okay, but I just have a signature, Adetayo James, and I want to stick with it. Yes.
That's fine.
So I'm a software engineer, and I actually started, like he rightly said, by delving into hardware. So I did hardware extensively.
Okay.
Yeah, so I fix any kind of hardware, ranging from computers, printers, monitors, chargers.
I think printers used to be the most complex back then.
Yes, printers were complex, especially those ones used in the banks. Those I've forgotten. Those Epson printers, those line printers that they use in printing account statement.
Back then.
Yes, they were a little bit complex to work on because they use heating, print head, and all of that. So you need to know how to handle it properly, or else you buy yourself some real trouble.
There used to be this I think that time you used to tell me that there's this sort of codes that you used to troubleshoot them, and if you enter some of them wrongly, the printer can jam.
Yes. So on those printers and some photocopiers too, those I remember very well. Those Canon photocopiers and sharp photocopiers, especially those were the ones I touched the most then. And there are codes you use to clear code. So if you don't know how to do those things, you can actually cause another trouble and cause a malfunction on the device.
Interesting.
So sometimes those devices also show you the challenges they have. They show you, so what I mean is that when you see a code, it represents something.
Yeah.
Either
Like
a
error
fault
code
or something, yes. So if your printer jams, there's a code that is displayed on their LCD display. So once you're able to understand how those codes what those codes mean, it becomes a lot easier for you to fix because you can exactly tell what the problem is and know what to start addressing. However, sometimes those things can actually be misleading as well. Because you see a code, but it's another thing that is the problem.
Like a false positive.
Exactly. So those line printers were majorly, sometimes they make beeping sounds as well. So you use it, those beeping sounds is what you use to know that there's a problem.
Like,
sometimes you notice that when the print head that does the printing is supposed to be moving, it's stagnant, it's not doing anything stuck. So probably you start looking at the cables that it connects to the heads. Maybe they are faulty.
Yeah.
Sometimes it could be a problem from the motherboard and all of that. So I did hardware extensively. And
I'm sure some hardware guys, they must be enjoying this. Software guys are just lost.
I remembered even on hardware, it got to a point that I used to fix laptop batteries. I'm sure you can remember.
Like
if your
laptop batteries
battery
were a big issue.
And it's quite expensive. So I look for damaged laptops. The batteries are still good. Dismantle the cells inside the battery and use it to fix your own.
I think I remember.
So
you were that thorough then.
Yeah.
I remember
that.
This guy was working magic with like the whole school. Imagine then the whole school, our entire university, they come to him for fixes. Yeah.
And I remember times I would even leave the classroom,
the
lecture hall, and
sometimes travel to go and buy parts
and all of that. So that's for hardware. So it got to this time I actually felt there was nothing new for me to explore anymore. So I decided to look for other interests, and that took me into networking.
Networking, I remember.
So I did networking for a while. I didn't really feel like I was doing anything. Yes. So that was what actually made me interested in software. Software engineering generally. So I remembered one of our friends back then, Solomon. Yeah, so he introduced me to this Software Freedom Foundation. So they used to distribute these Linux operating system softwares for free.
That was around 2010.
Yes. No, even before then. Yes, even before then. So I started attending Software Freedom Days. They give us
swags,
all those stuff. So it was the first time I started getting interested in Linux. You use command line. Okay, what's going on here? You issue a command, you see something happen.
Programming interface.
Yes. So it was quite interesting for me and catchy. So I even got a big textbook as a PDF. I went to print it out. I started studying Linux commands, studying all those things, and that was what led me to the first thing I started doing when migrating into software engineering fully was server administration. So I remembered back then I would pay for VPS servers online and just playing around with it. I have nothing to host on it, but I just wanted to learn. I just wanted to know.
Was it on Linode?
Linode,
right?
Yes.
Linode.
I don't want to do adverts for Linode.
Just give that up.
So, and I think it was in the process of learning and all of that, you picked interest in writing code.
Yeah, web.
Doing the web stuff.
Yeah, HTML, CSS, JavaScript.
So, and then we started.
Our
Now
PHP.
did our first startup then.
Yeah,
that
let's start
failed.
together. Yeah, definitely. You obviously yeah. Our first.
You know,
We did about like 2 years.
yes,
Like,
we did it for like
we
2
really tried.
years. We were about to launch, and then I remembered we had issues with investors and all of that.
yeah,
all those
yeah.
things just
Some of our
went,
partners and stuff.
just went south. But notwithstanding, I'm glad about. I have no regrets about every step I have taken, because somehow it has solidified all the things I know today and I'm able to do today. You know, the experience are things you can't buy with money.
Definitely.
So imagine my journey from hardware to networking to
That's already a 20-year
system
journey now.
admin. Yes,
20
it's 20 years now.
yeah.
Over 20 years. 20 years and a few months.
And a few months.
Yes. So imagine that kind of journey. So what it does for me is that when I find myself engaged in building systems,
Yeah.
because I know what is happening in all these areas, I would be able to preempt some things ahead of time before it even goes bad.
Yeah.
So I will be able to tell you, hey, while we want to build this software, what are the plans we have to make it accessible across the locations we want it to be accessible?
Oh, yeah.
So that takes us to networking. Okay, we talk about internet.
Yeah.
So an instance is that you want a desktop application, and you want it to be accessible from various other locations. So
terminals.
how do you access it? So that starts if the experience I've had in these fields have helped me to be able to know, okay,
hardware.
this is how we can connect this to this, and this is how we can achieve this.
Yeah.
So we don't even have to change your original idea, but we can achieve it, though it may just involve us having a little extra steps or additional things added to it, which may also bring in it some extra cost, but we will still get to the root of
this thing, which I definitely can affirm, because I started with software. And now I'm going full circle. I'm getting into hardware now. Yeah, because I dabbled into I started doing cloud, I started doing DevOps, and I started understanding the importance of understanding operating systems and memory management and stuff like that, the core computer stuff. So before you know it, I found myself in hardware, and now doing hardware, I can actually confirm what you said, like knowing hardware. That then most people started from hardware. That's where all those OG programmers are very, very strong. That's that way, because hardware kind of teaches you what goes on under the hood.
Under the hood, exactly.
Goes on, you know how everything works under the hood. So when you're planning software to be efficient, to be performant and everything, you have that knowledge. You have that knowledge base, and you can feed off it to be able to make better decisions when you're trying to optimize the software.
Exactly.
To just wrap up this section, tell us what you're doing now.
Okay, so I actually specialize in automation of business processes.
Okay.
And especially in building enterprise application systems. So which have their core or are majorly in the areas of fintech and health technology.
Okay.
So with my experience, I'm able to actually build scalable systems, because that is one of the things that a lot of large systems need. If you're building a system and they ask you to, hey, we need this new module, or, oh, can we change something? And you start panicking. Just know that
Especially in a banking application
just know that you're in trouble, because it means that you probably did not follow good practice, or you did not build your system to be scalable. So in the fintech space, one of the things that is one of the most important thing. I mean, what is really happening in the fintech space now is rapid innovation.
Okay.
So how do you adapt to rapid innovation? It will require you to always have to add new things or to improve on existing systems that you have built.
Interface with legacy,
So
a lot of legacy
a
stuff.
lot of legacy stuffs. So sometimes you may find out that you even need to rebuild a module that you already have working, but you don't want to reinvent the wheel. So when building your system, you have to put it in mind that, okay, how can I make this? How can I follow good software engineering practices that can help me to make this system usable, even when I want to integrate a new technology with it, for me to be able to do that seamlessly. So those all those things, so those are majorly the things I do now. So enterprise application systems in the area of fintech and health tech.
Awesome. Okay, so next question. Now, people have always had this sort of argument. Enterprise, if you're programming enterprise apps, if you are programming fintech apps, people in the enterprise space versus people in the web space that are building maybe e-commerce applications and stuff, compared to people in the fintech space that are building stuff for banks, that are building stuff for like Paystack and Piggyvest and the rest, dealing with money and all that. So, but we always hear this: oh, enterprise, is this practice applicable to enterprise? Can you use this framework in the enterprise? Can you use this stack in enterprise? Why are you using PHP for an enterprise app? And all this kind of stuff. So, how does programming in a fintech or banking environment differ from a normal, building shopping carts, building portals and stuff, all the other web app programming?
Okay, so it differs because the requirements for building these systems are actually different as well.
Okay.
So on a normal level, you don't expect the programming styles to be the same.
Okay.
So there are usually unique requirements that are associated with these with fintech programming, and there are also regulatory considerations that you need to have at the back of your mind before you even start writing your code, or else you will write that code. Because if it doesn't meet the regulatory requirements, of course, for instance, you talk about data protection, data privacy, and then you're supposed to use some encryption protocols when conveying the data across
encryption in transit.
Exactly. So
data in transit.
if you don't do that, you didn't do that, and then you roll out, and then the regulator comes and is like, okay, you want to audit your system.
Yeah.
And they see that somebody's data is flying here and there.
Exposed.
They're definitely going to flag you, and then you may lose your license if care is not taken.
Wow.
So there are a lot of things to consider.
Okay.
When programming in the fintech space. So, well, when you are building portals, you don't need a CBN approval a central bank approval or PCI DSS, certification to do card services and all of that. You don't need all of that. You just need a place where you can just set up a card. Somebody will come buy something. At most, you look for a payment gateway that already has those licenses, and then you just use them to collect money. So they have to deal with the regulatory issues and all the ethical considerations that need to be done. So also, there are security concerns. There are security concerns, and a lot of times, one of the reasons why some financial applications, you find out that these days, once you release a small information about you or about your card or about your account, people are able to, these hackers, they're able to hack into your account and all of that. So all these security concerns, they are things that you need to put into consideration.
Okay.
So for instance, you're building a system and a system for a bank or for fintech use and all of that. You need to know how to think like the thief so that you would be able to block him or write your program in such a way that it would be difficult for him to break into your system. So there are practices, there are things you need to do for you to be able to do that. So now in a shopping cart, if you hack into my shopping cart, that's your business. How will you pay?
Yeah, sure. Do you want to pay for me?
You want to, exactly. Though some of them, which one of the things I don't do, some of them, some of these shopping cart portals, they may require you to save your card for next purchase.
Okay,
So
I've even implemented something like that before.
So those are dangerous activities. And why is it dangerous? Sometimes these details are not being saved properly in the standard in which it's meant to be saved, and then someone gets access to your card details, or they are able to hack into your browser and extract details that they need. So once they have that, you just be seeing debit on your account. You don't know where it's coming from. And you'll be thinking someone stole your card. They didn't steal your card. You gave it out somewhere online.
Sure.
So there are some of those practices that you do such that even while you are collecting that data on the browser, you are already encrypting. You are not even allowing anything to go in. To be transported without encryption. So at the end of the day, you find out that when in the fintech, you have to really be more cautious so that you'll be able to protect your clients, especially their money, their transactions, and all of that.
I want to ask like a follow-up question to that.
Yes.
Now this permit me, it's not on my list yet.
No problem.
Because it just came to my mind. So there was a time I was writing this series of articles on security.
Yes.
And part of it was on talking about some of the cryptographic algorithms.
Yes.
Hashing functions and stuff, SHA family and all those hashing functions.
Yes.
Which are used to encrypt information.
Yes.
And a lot they are discovered. These algorithms are discovered, but then with time, some of them get broken. Some of them get cryptographically broken. Like people find their way, like MD5. I think even some early members of the SHA family. So when such stuff happens, because people have used it to do a lot of encryption activities all around their code.
Yes.
When that happens, who enforces the update? Because definitely people have to update all around. People have to update all around. So is it the auditors? Are they the ones that enforce the update? Because I know there was a time too that we were told to upgrade TLS.
Yes.
Well,
TLS from 1.1 to
1.2. Yeah, 1.1 to 1.2. So who enforces those kind of stuff? Which body enforces that?
Okay.
And how fast do they?
Okay, so normally in the banking system and in the fintech space, there's in the structural framework of the organization.
Yeah.
There are also usually internal auditors.
Okay.
That's system auditors. So they carry out audits on the system.
Okay.
From time to time, routinely. So that in case there's anything that needs attention,
vulnerabilities and stuff.
Exactly. You don't want to see their notes. It's scary. And they will make you feel like you've stolen the whole bank's money for just a simple, small thing you can just block with a line of code. So most times they do that, and they have applications, they have tools they use in also checking the vulnerabilities of systems and all of that. So once they run those things against those applications, and they're able to detect those vulnerabilities. They raise them up, and then you're supposed to now fix them up. So, and that leads to the encryption protocol I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Now, I use the word protocol intentionally because, yes, I can use the SHA whatever, and the MD5, which somehow some people have their way around it, but I can still make it difficult. So what do I need to do? I just need to set up layers of encryption and have my own algorithm around those encryption and those encrypting and decrypting activities I want to do. So it makes the process, you don't know what I have done.
Yeah,
you just think that
custom.
This looks like a SHA code.
Yeah,
I can easily, you do it and see if
reverse
it works.
engineer
It's not going to work because I have placed other layers of encryption on that initial encryption. So I'm only deceiving you with what I am doing, but you won't know that I'm deceiving you.
Honeypot.
So the thing just goes that way.
Yeah.
You know? So, but basically, when those auditors do their job, it's after then, once they make sure that the house is clean, that's when they invite the real regulators, the PCI DSS people. They come and audit your system, also ensure that your people's data, their transactions are secured and are safe. The CBN too will come, they'll do their job. Everybody will be happy. So that's just it about regulations and all of that.
That's cool. So for example, Patricia got hacked.
Yes.
Around May.
Yes.
And the hackers were able to make away with $2 million.
Yes.
How did a company like Patricia, like what could they have left unguarded to cause that kind of breach?
I don't believe I want to say this.
Because the
So,
when I saw the guys, nothing against them, I don't even know their skill level and everything, but they didn't look as sophisticated as, the kind of hackers that can pull off $2 million is not small money. Definitely, once you have access, you can steal as much as you want. It's not like if you drop $2 million on the street, who will pick it up? They don't need to be intelligent to pick it up. You are the one that left it there. So like, what? I know you might not want to, but you might not want to get into the core details, but like, or play around this more.
All right. Well, sometimes some of those heavy fraud being carried out on these fintech systems are not devoid of internal workings as well.
True.
Then I also noticed largely some fintech organizations, they don't have good working employee policy.
Okay.
So it leaves a room. Someone is leaving the organization. Oh, why am I saying this?
They take away.
He deliberately leaves an open door, and then he resigns and is out of the organization. So wherever he is,
He knows
the loophole. He knows the back
he has
door.
planted
So he
a
can
command
move
and control
anything
this
he wants. Exactly. So the same thing could have happened to Patricia.
True.
Someone probably just acted carelessly, or someone maybe aggrieved, and then he just wants to get a revenge or make himself rich at all costs.
True.
So there are different things that could have happened.
Yeah.
So I just want to just leave it at that.
Because I like the point you made, because a lot of hacks are not even like the code itself being compromised. It's people being compromised.
People being compromised.
The whole social engineering type of attack is based around people using and like you said, an aggrieved. That's why hiring has to be the hiring policies has to be strong, and even and not just hiring, firing and leaving policies have to be strong, and also data protection policy within the company.
Yes,
because you have to have a way to protect your data. You have to have like authorization set up that some people cannot access
Definitely
some level of
authorization
data.
levels.
Yeah, authorization levels. Yeah. So, okay, with what you said now, can we? And you can say no, definitely. Can we say that the main difference between our regular web app programming that anybody can just pick up and do, freelancers, companies and whatever, build a portal for the government, build a shopping cart, build an e-commerce site, build a non-financial, startup and stuff like that. Every other thing that is not dealing with critical finances,
Yes.
an enterprise. Can we say that the main difference is security? Like
No.
the main difference, okay?
No.
What are
Security is part of it. Like I've mentioned, regulatory compliance.
Yeah, definitely.
I've also talked about security, scalability.
True.
There's scalability. Now, I don't want to mention the name of an app, but if you can read in between the lines, you know the app I'm talking about. I don't know the reason why I'm using a fintech app and then for remittance, and I keep getting updates of one thing going on the app every day. I don't understand.
Yeah, I can say their name. I've said their name severally on this. I've said their name severally on this channel.
It makes me to worry so much that I can't even leave a dime in that place. I can't run anything on that app.
They're always requesting.
They're always trying to do one update or the other. It means there's a problem, a fundamental problem. And it's most likely because they didn't build the system to be scalable enough. And also, it could also be an issue of performance too. Scalability and performance work hand in hand.
True.
If you build a system that is not scalable, it will not perform.
Sure.
So when you have more users, more concurrent users, what happens to the system? It crashes.
Sure.
Or something goes wrong.
I think like performance is the output of scalability.
Output of scalability, exactly. So it's another important thing to take note of. However, I know that this is also valid when you're building e-commerce sites and all of that.
Sure.
Because you're going to get a pool of users. But when working on a fintech app, I can tell you that 1,000,001 things happen when you make a single payment. You see that single transfer you did? That's not the only thing that happened. A lot of things happened.
Yeah.
So if your system is not scalable to handle that, coupled with the concurrent users doing the same thing at the same time, you're going to have a big problem.
True.
And it's people's money. People are not patient when it comes to money. So you have to make sure that their money is safe and secured while you are processing it. So there are also issues of integration with legacy systems.
Okay.
I think we mentioned it earlier. So especially in the banking industry, you'll find out that most of them are old banks, traditional banks, so these old generational banks, and they are not so accustomed to technology. However, now I notice a lot of them are really coming up fast, which is good. However, they cannot just abandon their existing systems because they want to innovate.
Yeah, definitely.
So what they do is that they normally come up with interfaces to bridge the gap between the old and the new, so that they can still achieve the same thing at the end of the day. Exactly. So that is another angle to it, being able to integrate to legacy systems. And in sometimes when you're doing that, you don't use the conventional ways. You have to do that using APIs, web services, SOAP web services.
So I my experience with SOAP was terrible.
Sometimes, so because of this, it's not a knowledge that everybody knows. Imagine you have to go and study the database, study the system, the behavior that, okay, when I integrate using this, when using this interface, I'm going to be able to still communicate with this system as if I'm using it.
Yeah.
So it's a lot to actually to take to, as in, is an important factor that you need to also know that makes fintech and banking programming a little bit more complicated.
let me wrap up with this. Let me wrap up this section with this question. So you have done, you have built this. You're still doing it, anyway. So you built apps in banks.
Yes.
Because you have worked with different banks, and you've also built for some government organizations.
Yes.
What would you say, like, is the, however small, because it's still finances and stuff, is the difference between the two? Operating in banks,
Yes.
commercial banks,
Yes.
versus government.
Well, there's a whole lot of difference, actually.
Oh, really?
Yes. So, in the banking industry,
Yeah.
they are more strict
Okay.
with keeping to regulations, because the government is the one actually regulating them. And whenever they default on anything, it's either they get their license. If it depends on the severity, they can get their license revoked, or they can get sanctioned. And nobody wants to be sanctioned
Or pay fines.
it comes with a lot of money. So but in the public sector, most of what they do is that most of what happens in the public sector is more of, they want to make their processes more seamless. So
They're always trying
making
to optimize.
exactly. So something that somebody needs to travel for, can we have a portal that will just do that job?
Okay.
And you don't need to travel. You just need to, by using that app, the person on the other end is notified. And another thing is this: in the public sector, because of the large volume of transactions they do, also, there's also need for that critical detailing, just the way you do in the banking industry. But in the banking industry, you know what happens there. The millions of transactions that comes in every minute, every day. You need to have a more sophisticated system, use a more sophisticated approach to actually handle it. Yes, government does big transactions,
but it's not frequent.
Not as frequent
as banks. True.
So there's difference. You just have to understand the peculiarities that pertains to each of them and adopt the best approach that works in actually solving their respective problems.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. That was that was power packed. Thank you very much.